Welcome back to another web development video um, where I show you how to make modern websites using HTML5, CSS3, and a little bit of JavaScript. In this series, we're working with a program called Webflow.com, W-E-B-F-L-O-W.com. It is a service that you can sign up for and actually build responsive websites inside the browser using clean semantic code. And it's not so much a drag and drop editor as you're visually doing what you would normally do with your hands, which is typing. So it's a little bit strange to think about. Go back, if you are getting in the middle of this, go back to the first video and I'll show you just kind of what that means. And then it's kind of hard for me to explain, so I just wanted to create a real project. And creating the real project has actually, it will allow me to show you some of the things that are available in the program. I'm about a week into using Webflow and just wanted to be able to share this with other people because it's a real viable alternative, especially for freelancers or people who are building small sites for clients, especially sites like these that are just kind of focused on marketing websites. And it will, I think, in the end, speed up your development time. We're using this template I found. It's a free template. We're just using it as a guide, as a reference. But you can see that we've created several of these sections, and now we're down here to the services. And this is our project when you look at it. So you can see you can create a nice modern website using Webflow. And from what I can see, there aren't really any limitations to what you can do. I'm kind of excited about this section because it is going to allow me to show you the CMS part of Webflow, and this is one of the really exciting parts because you can create a blog, you can create multiple different small databases or collections of content that are dynamic, and as they change, the site gets updated with them. You can filter those collections to show only the items that you want to show. You can also give clients access to your collections, and so they can go in and they can either create, you know, if they have more services, they wanted to add another 2 or 3 services, they could go in and do that themselves using you know, we're going to set up an image, we're going to set up a heading, and we're going to set up a paragraph, and they would be able to actually go in and update those things using their own images or whatever. So it's pretty cool and really interesting, and I don't want to wait, so let's get into it. So we come back to our editor and we add a new section. The easiest way to add a section is to go to the navigator here and click body, and then go over here and click section. So rather than trying to figure out where one section ends and the next one begins, it comes and adds a new section for you. Let's give it an ID of services, and we're going to call this a true section. We'll give it a class of services. Okay, and then I think I'm going to add an inner div because I'm just not sure how this is going to turn out with this collection stuff, and so we're just going to call this services inner. I want to make sure that I can center that on the page. You can see that everything is centered on the page. First, we will go ahead and create a heading. So let's put a heading in there. And the heading is going to be, let's say, an H3. I'm not keeping track of my headings right now, so I'm not sure. And then it says what we do. We want that to be 100% width. It's centered. We are using Montserrat, and we want that to be like normal, and maybe 32. Okay, so we have our heading. Let's create a little bit of space. You can see there's some space here. We're going to create that on the parent element here. The parent element is services. That's the big section element. And if we hold down If we hold down Shift and drag up, we can create padding on all sides. So you can see here, that's our padding. So that's going to be our padding in the section. You can see there's quite a bit of space here. And we might even limit this inner div. Where is it? We might even limit this inner div to a maximum width of like 800 pixels. And then once you give something a max width, it has a width, then you can go in here. This little button says center the element, and it requires that there's a width applied. So either here, an absolute width, or you can do a maximum width. Okay, and then when you click that, it gives you auto on each side, just like you would do margin auto. So that's the same as saying margin 0 auto, and it centers it for you. So when we look at it, this is our next section, you know what we do. And we might need to add a little bit more space here. It's a little tight. So if we go back to our editor mode, let's go ahead and start building our first collection. So the way you do that is you go to the Collections tab, you click this collection, and now you have a new collection. So there are some collection templates where they give you some pre-filled form fields, I guess, to be able to put in here. And what we want to do is we want to call this services. So that's going to be our collection name. You can see it up here. It changed to services. And the collection URL is just going to be services. That's fine. And then it says that a collection page is created for services in the Pages panel. So let's save our changes. And then we can see that there's a services template page that's been created. We can talk about that later. Let's go back to the home page. Actually, let's go to our collection. You can add some dummy items in here. Or you can make your own. So what we need to do is we need to go to here we go. Okay, so these are the settings. So I clicked here, you can see. So all we need to do is add the fields for the information that we want to collect. Now we have an icon. We have the heading here, and then we have this text. I don't know how we're going to be able to do the icon other than to use an image. I think that's just kind of the quick and dirty way to do it, because I don't have any icons saved per se. The icons that we're using on this site right now are actually an icon font, which is a little bit different. So we click to add a field, and what we want to add is this heading right here. And so that's just going to be plain text, which is here. And we're going to call this service heading, service type, maybe, service type. Or let's just say the name. Single line. And essentially it's just creating a form that collaborators will be able to fill out, and as they fill out this information, then it becomes usable for you on the front end. So that's what we're doing. You could set a minimum character count. This field will be required, and we save it. And then the other part is going to be the service description. So let's set another one, plain text, and we'll say service description. Describe this service. So what I'm typing here is going to show here, and this right here is a preview of what the collaborator will see, like whenever they come to create a new service for this section. That field will also be required. Let's set a maximum character length of 140 characters. That would be okay. That way we come out with something somewhat even here. You don't have one like super long one. So we could say a minimum of 140, maximum of 140, or I don't know, 120, so that we wind up with kind of an even count on those things. And then we'll save that, and then we'll add a new field, and this field is going to be called an image. Let's see, I don't think we have anything better than that. Actually, could we do a rich text? I don't know that we could. Let's just do, no, let's not do plain text. Let's do this. Let's do an image, and then I'll just show you how it works. We'll just call it services icon. And that'll be required too. We can actually, you see here where it says drag and reorder, we can actually reorder these things. So we set them like they are on the page. So we have icon and then a heading and then text. So we have that icon, heading, and text. And let's save our collection. And then let's add a new service. The first one is going to be called case investigation. And this can be case investigation. This is maybe a little bit of overkill because we can actually tap into this name right here. But we'll do that anyway. And we'll say here. And then we'll browse just for images right now. It's giving me an error here because it's just not enough, so it won't let me actually save it. So let's try to double that just to get inside the character count. Currently at 146. Alright, so now we're in there. It tells that you're getting close and you're currently, where you're at. So let's do create. And so we've created our first service, and I want to say that we can, if we click here, and we click here, that allows us to choose things. I don't know that we can duplicate. Yeah, it doesn't allow me to duplicate anything, so you just have to go through and create new services all the way through. And let's create a couple of new ones. So personal injury. And we'll say this. Let's see. Okay. It's telling me I'm not at enough. Now it's telling me I'm too much. And still not enough. Alright. We'll put an image in here. Okay, create. And let's do just one more. You could go in and you could create as many of these as you wanted to. Let's do legal counseling. I copied and pasted this just to make it easier. Let's see, new. Let's just grab an image of here. and we'll create that. So now we have 3 things in our collection, 3 items in our collection, and we can go back to our page and we can add these dynamically into the page by coming into our services and services inner, and we come and we grab this block right here. It's called a collections list. And you come in, you bring it in to the services inner, and it sets it right here. Now it looks doesn't look like much right now, but as soon as we add we connect it to one of our databases, to our collections, you'll see it populate with some information. So we connect it to the services, and you can see here that it's connected because you can see all of our 3 services here, right? How do we want this to display? We want it to be 3 across. So we choose 3 across. And if there are more than 3, then it will just wrap down and do another grid down below. Now the way that we work with this is we actually need to set up the design, and then in each element we connect it to the different parts of, we connect it to the different fields that we created. So we connect it to the services icon, the service type, and the service description. And then once we set up that template inside of Webflow in these elements here, then it just kind of flows that information into them. And you'll see how that works now. That wasn't a great explanation. I didn't understand it until I saw somebody do it. So let's go ahead and take an image, and we'll put an image here. And then we want to connect it to the service icon. And voila, all of our services icons show up. So everything that has that field inside of our collection, so everything that has this field, if we were to replace this with a different image, oh, well, it's too big. Okay, how about this one? If we were to replace it with a different image and save, then when we come back to the front end, you can see that our image has been replaced here. So that's how the dynamic content works. Anytime something is made, a change is made to a collection item, it updates automatically on the front end because it's being updated in the database, so to speak. So all we have to do is build out the rest of our elements. So we have an image, we have this heading, and then we have this paragraph. So let's come and get our heading, and we'll drop it in here into our collection item. Actually, we want it to go well. Let me try that again. So where we want it to go is here inside the collection item. So let's, what was it? It's a heading. Let's drag it under our image into our collection item. You can see here, if we connect this to our service type, we could also connect it to the name. I told you we could just use the name as opposed to a particular service type, but let's go ahead and do this since we already set it up. And you can see that each, so for legal counseling, that is our image. If we go to legal counseling, this is our image, and this is our name. And next we need to connect our service description. So you can see that underneath. And we're just going to do the same thing over here. So let's take a little paragraph and let's set it there, and let's connect that to our service description. And then just like that, we have a dynamic piece of content that we can add items to, and I'll show you how to add items to it in just a moment. I think I want to play with this a little bit. Maybe it's 1,000 pixels, something like that. And then we can play with the margin here. Maybe it's 48. Give it a little bit of space here. We want to come in here and we want to control our elements. So this is going to be services, group, heading. Let's call it a title. Let's call it the services group title. We'll add that to all of these. Yes, yes. And because they're all a part of this collection, they have all also taken on this class. So once I change one of these, it's going to change them all. So they are Montserrat and probably regular. So let's say normal, and let's say 24, something like that. And then all of these are going to be services. What do we call it? Services group. Paragraph. Let's call it description. And now all of these also have the same tag. So when we come in here, it should change them all. Montserrat, maybe light, maybe let's do 16 and 24. Okay. And then you recognize that each of these is centered. So let's go ahead and we'll make each of our collection items. I think this is the, yeah. So the collection item holds all of our little pieces of the collection. And we're just going to make that one services group. And we're going to make that centered. So everything is going to be centered in there. And then maybe for our images, we'll say services group image, and then all of those images get that class. And let's just make the image a width of maybe 150 pixels. So something like that. So we're just kind of trying to replicate what we have up here. It's not going to be perfect. We could even go in here and try to do some fancy stuff with the borders. Give it a border radius of 50%. Oh, it needs equal height and width. So we could do something like that, and it's a little bit more fun, a little modern. So now we have our section here, and if we go in and we were to add another collection, oh, we can duplicate it. So that's what I was looking for. Legal counseling, civil litigation. And create that. Business law. Let's copy that. Change this just to something different. With this guy. Oh. Okay, let's do this. Civil litigation should be changed as well. Let's change it to that. And let's do one more. Insurance defense. And let's change our photo to this. We'll save it. And then when we go back to our designs, or to our design, we should see more. So you can see how they're presenting. Am I missing one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I did one. I did business law, but I never saved it probably. And let's replace that. So I'll create that. Okay. So we have 6, and it should show on our front end, which it does. So now we have 6 different elements, and they're all being brought in through our collection. I did not have to write code for these. They can be dynamically changed. We can add more services to what we do. I can go in and make changes to different parts of this. So if we wanted to go to each individual services group and we wanted to put some margin between each one, we could just do like that, and then let's make our services inner what's going on? We just have too much padding going on here, or too much margin. So let's make that 16. And collections list. I'm going to make it 3. Okay. So something like that. Max width of 1,000. I don't know. You can play around with the control of these particular things. You could add some padding here, or you could just make padding on each of these, like that, and then take the margin off. So something like that would be really nice. And so we have our section here, just like we have here. And let's go to the greater one and add just a little bit more padding. Let's do like 80. Okay. And then we go to look at it on our website. We can see that we have our services. Not perfectly in line with what's here because we don't have the icons, but it is in line with what we were doing before. So that is how to use our collections. We're also going to use a collection maybe for testimonials and for the attorneys, and I can show you that you can set up multiple collections as well as setting up a blog sort of situation down toward the bottom. All right, that is the What We Do section. And if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down in the comment section below. And I'd be happy to take them and to answer your questions as best I can. One of the best places to learn about Webflow is at Webflow University. If you just search for Webflow University, you'll find all of their courses and video trainings about how to actually use the different parts of the software. You can also go back to video number 1 where I show you the introduction and then kind of move you through the project so far. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.